How do organizations that have an incredible amount of online content ensure that the experience that they provide to you is highly personal to you? They make you feel that they really care about you. For example, how does Netflix, with tons of content in their inventory, ensure that whenever any one of their 30 million members land on the home screen, will find something that is of interest to her? Or how does Amazon, with millions of products to sell, ensure that they showcase to you only those products that grab your attention? They increase the probability of you buying something from them and you continue buying from them. Organizations like Khan Academy spend a lot of energy in designing an experience that makes you feel that you are getting personal attention. And why does personalization work? How can you create a portal for thousands or millions of users and still make it a personal experience? The answer to this why lies in a fundamental principle of human behavior called the cocktail party phenomenon. And it goes like this. If we are in a cocktail party with dozens of people chatting around us, our attention will go to a conversation that has something of interest to us. For example, if someone says our name, we will immediately get tuned to that conversation and our mind will block out every other noise that's happening around us. Simply stated, it means that we naturally orient towards information or ideas that we are invested in. How is this personalization achieved? There are really two parts to it. First part has got to do with modeling your users' behavioral archetypes based on research into personas and designing the portal so that it satisfies the needs of these personas. It really deals with making the users feel that this is relevant to me. This will change my life in some way. He thinks, I can share this with my family and friends, or this adds meaning to my life. And the second part is about continuously learning users' behaviors on the portal and getting insights from these and presenting the content based on these. It deals with things like what are they clicking on, how much time they are spending on this particular category, where are they currently located, what places do they go to, and when, and suggesting the content based on this data. First part is about experience design, and the second part is about machine learning, analytics, and data science. This process really goes through a spectrum that starts with designing for personas at a broader level and narrowing down to personalizing for individuals. As you move forward in the customer journey, you want to be more and more relevant. Take a sales offering, for example. A company has an offering that it creates for a client archetype. This could be in the form of a general deck, or a blog, or a brochure, or even a promotional video. But when a salesperson makes a presentation during an in person meeting with the client, he will certainly personalize the pitch sharp to that particular client. This is about starting with persona and narrowing down to personalization. This session is focused on the first part, which is about personas, and I will explain it from an experienced designer's perspective on how personas are created. Personas that are used in experience design were invented by Alan Cooper. He is the one who created Visual Basic that was eventually bought over by Microsoft. He introduced them in his landmark book Inmates Are Running Asylum during the early 90s. Personas really work. And why? Because they encourage us to relate to our users in a human way. Human beings are motivated to take actions because they have certain goals they want to achieve. Personas articulate these goals and serve as a reference point while designing the experience of a site. And we are accustomed to creating archetypes among people, and this helps us in making sense of the world. For example, when a friend refers another person to us as a loony or a geek, we can fairly predict his behavior to a large extent. Personas mitigate the disadvantage of meeting real users all the time. They are proxy users who are always available to us for taking design decisions and getting these decisions validated. Since we are from the field of software development, our mind may think of actors at this point of time, and therefore it will help talking about what personas are not. Personas are not actors. An actor is something that triggers a use case if the preconditions of that use case are met. These need not be human. A system clock can be an actor, for example. These do not have human behaviors. Personas are not average users. Designers never design for average users. For example, if you are building a house And if we design the height of the door considering the average height of the population, then the tallest person will not be able to walk in straight. We design the door for tall people. Also, we cannot design width of the rear seat of the car for average number of children per family. Real families do not have 2.4 children. Personas are not roles. Roles define the tasks that users need to do. Personas are more human and deal with how the users will behave while doing these tasks. Personas are not market segments. Again, because market segments are not human beings. Market segments may have segment size, they always have demographics, and they may have skills and behaviors, but they would never have mental models and goals of people. Personas have these, they always have this. They will always have skills and behavior, or they may have demographics. Let us see how a simple persona looks like and understand the components of it. This is a persona which we had created as a part of UX design of an app that we had designed for a large hospital in the US. The problem that we were dealing here with was, how do we increase patient satisfaction? Let me tell you here, there are several formats of presenting personas and some can get real elaborate. But a simple persona will help our purpose here. We give a picture to the persona and we give it a name. These things help us remember it and our mind would retain it. Then there is a problem statement. This is in the context of the project and there is a goal that she wants to achieve. And there is a narrative that helps us understand more about her. Then the things that she needs to know and the things that she needs to do. As you can see, personas explain the most critical behavioral data that designers and stakeholders understand and remember. Also, they use storytelling to engage our brains to see if the design works or not. Each persona serves as a surrogate user for thousands of real users. They serve to help us with technical decisions and business decisions. Designers then take this persona, map out the journey of this persona to find out opportunities to improve her experience. The user experience that you see on the app is a solution to the problem and opportunities that became visible on the journey map for that particular persona. Now, let me give you a brief overview of a typical process of creating personas. As you will see here, these are based on research, and each sentence that you read about persona is a result of what designers have observed or heard. Starting point is to get a set of users to talk to. This is absolutely critical. You cannot create a persona without spending time observing people and talking to them. Then we divide these people into roles. In case of a hospital, these roles can be patient, doctor, or a nurse, or the receptionist in the hospital, or the hospital CIO. We do structured interviews with, let's say, 6 or 7 people in each of these categories. During these interviews, we will find that certain psychographic and demographic parameters emerge. Like someone has a busy day, someone needs to give a lot of time to the family, someone who has a chronic illness, someone who demands quality in service, someone who is from a high income group, someone who lives in a metro, or someone who is young, etc. Next step in the process of creating personas is to map out each of these parameters on a continuum. In our current scenario, we can draw out many continua. Hectic day schedule versus someone who usually has a free day. Short-term treatments versus chronic illness. Someone who needs a lot of family time versus someone who does not. Someone who always demands quality versus someone who does not. High income person versus low income person. Someone who living in a metro or someone living in the countryside. What is the age of the person? And so on and so forth. Then we look at the list of our interviewees and see where each of them fit on these continua. Once this is done, we see that some of the names start appearing together and we see a pattern emerging. We then connect the group and translate this into a narrative. This narrative becomes the main part of the persona. It's her story. We then look at the template and fill in rest of the components to complete our persona. We will typically have 4 or 5 personas for each role. Can you clearly now see how our research has helped us to create surrogate user who can help us take decisions in the context of experience design? Whenever we want to implement a feature and look at the user experience for that feature, we can also look at the persona and say, will this be useful for Emma? How will she react to this? Is the task flow something that Emma can use easily? How do we prioritize features for Emma? What should she see first on the screen? What should come next? Personas really bring all the stakeholders on the same page and everyone knows whom we are designing for and how are we solving their problems. Of course, this is just an overview of the process and doing these in a real project can get much more elaborate and complex. But I hope you are able to see the importance and value of personas in creating personalized experiences. Or shall we say, personalized experiences?